5 years and 10 months ago, CM Punk walked away from professional wrestling and the WWE and never looked back. Today, on November 12th, 2019, he's one step closer to being back. Breaking news has gone down here on Tuesday evening. CM Punk has returned to professional wrestling-related television, showing up at the very end of WWE's Backstage show on FS1, a show that got a horrendous rating the week before, getting something like 50,000 viewers. I have many videos on YouTube that have performed better than that on my own channel. And boy, did they pull a rabbit out of their hat tonight. And CM Punk, we did hear the rumors about him screen testing for the show. He did do some auditions with Renee Young. Apparently, they kept this completely private. The only person that really knew about it was Renee Young, as you could tell by her reaction. Samoa Joe, who was a guest on the set, and Paige and Booker T were all there, and all had shocked looks on their faces when Cult of Personality hit, and CM Punk walked out on this show. And he said, just when you thought you had all the answers, I changed the culture. And he's going to be appearing now. This is official that he will be appearing periodically on the show beginning next week. Next Tuesday night on FS1 at 11 p.m. Eastern, Punk will be on WWE Backstage discussing WWE stuff. That's huge news. We've come a long way, man. This guy, you thought he didn't even want to hear the letters WWE. Never wanted to see, speak, or think of them again for the rest of his life. And as we've gone through the years here, he's inched closer and closer and closer back to them and more away from his original stance when he left them all those years ago. Now, I know all of you are already typing, so just stop and delete your comment because I'm about to say what you're typing. Let me just say this right up front so that you guys know that I'm not fucking stupid. I understand that CM Punk is working for Fox. Fox has brought him in. Fox is paying him, okay? So I know that. So before anybody in the comments is 100% confident that you know one way or the other what this is going to lead you, let me just stop you because you don't. You don't know shit. I don't know shit. We collectively, as wrestling fans at this moment, just hours after he showed up on this Backstage show, don't know shit. If you want to now take this speculation into, is this eventually going to lead to CM Punk wrestling again? I think it's absolutely absurd for anybody to insist that they know whether he will or he won't wrestle again. It's absolutely silly. If you're down there in the comments below guaranteeing that something is going to happen, you are a fool. You don't know. I don't know. But I will tell you this, if you are looking at this situation, how can you not see this as CM Punk taking one step closer? He's going to be on, yes, I know it's Fox for the millionth fucking time, but he's going to be on a show with WWE personalities talking about the WWE product. To think that he's going to have absolutely nothing to do with WWE and he doesn't give a shit about them and will never come back and never wrestle is silly. Because he's now willing to do this? I mean, is this something that you would think that 2015 CM Punk would want to do? Hell no. Not even close. So if he has changed his stance, I think the fans need to change their stance as well when things like this happen. Now, I think a CM Punk return in all of our minds has been pretty much inevitable. Can we agree on that? For sure, I think a lot of us have been smelling it, even at StarCast. Because I was the one that was saying all last summer, you know, if CM Punk still feels the way he does about WWE, it's a no-brainer for him to show up at All Out. Right there in Chicago, the big FU to WWE, giving AEW a huge pickup here. And like I said a million times, CM Punk is the only name left in the business that's Twitter breakable. You know what I mean? Because he's definitely done it tonight. He didn't even return to the ring. It's not like he returned on SmackDown or Raw. This is a freaking TV show that gets shit for ratings. If you think about it, it's kind of CM Punk's style. Remember when he released the Colt Cabana podcast? Didn't he do that on like Thanksgiving night? The most random time, completely unadvertised. Nobody knew it was going to happen. It just punched us in the face. So the fact that he's doing it like this, I think is pretty cool. Would have been more awesome if he showed up on a pay-per-view or a Raw or a SmackDown or NXT or something and got back in the ring and said, okay, I'm back. But, you know, I think that's just what it is, a start. And if the fans really want to see him back and really want to see him wrestle, wrestle again, this should make you feel pretty optimistic that at least it's now possible, where before I thought there was no chance in hell. But as you've been listening to CM Punk and you've been hearing the way he's kind of backed off some of his really harsh, insane comments that he made on WWE on that podcast, and how much hate and just disdain he had for them, you know, and a lot of us didn't blame him. I didn't. A lot of that really started going away over the last couple of years, and he had a golden opportunity here to really stick it to them by joining AEW. And the fact that he didn't, when all of the stars were aligning, it was in his hometown, you know, he can score a big payday and take some of Tony Khan's money and, you know, like I said, give a big middle finger to the WWE, a company that he apparently, we thought, absolutely despised. And things have just gotten progressively better over the years. You know, it is extremely true, and I know many of you can relate to this, time really does heal all wounds. And it's healed a lot of wounds in professional wrestling. Think about the people that have had the worst relationships with WWE and have always came back. Like, literally everyone has come back except for, like, Savage, which I think he would have had he not passed away. You know, but everybody else, provided they're alive, Vince buries the hatchet with them. So why should CM Punk be any different? Why is he above all this? You know, and when you think about what he said most recently about an in-ring return, he said it would have to be for a very big bag. Well, that's a stark contrast from 5 years ago when he said, I don't even want to see them. You know, if I run into Triple H, I'm going to piss in his mouth. Now, he's like, well, if they pay me enough, I'll do it. So he's definitely changed his attitude over the years. So to be so confident that he's not going to get back in the ring, I think is silly, because look at how he has changed. And now he's on a WWE related program. You know, I think it's insane to be like, oh, he just works for Fox. I'm like, yeah, I understand that, but it's still a WWE show. To think that WWE has no control over what Fox does is dumb. That's not the way it works. You know, there's not, you know, you're a team there. You know, not one side is completely in control of the other and can do whatever they want. WWE is not going to let Fox bring superstar Billy Graham on the show so he can shit on WWE. They're going to be able to tell them, no, you're not doing that. So it's not like Fox holds all the cards here. Yes, they're paying him, but that does not mean WWE becomes their slave. So CM Punk being on that show does mean something. You know, I don't give a shit who's signing his paychecks. It means something. So you got WrestleMania right around the corner. Hell, you've got Survivor Series in his hometown of Chicago in a couple of weeks. He should, I mean, if he's going to be there, he might have to be on like the pre-show panel, something like that, and just kind of have that role for a little while until they decide to get him in the ring. And if they need some big matches, I don't know what they have planned for this year's WrestleMania. I don't know what the big marquee matches are going to be, but you know they got to have some big shit. You know they got to try to get The Rock in there. They got to try to get a Cena match. Who knows what The Undertaker is doing? You got to have some sort of like big attraction match. You know, every WrestleMania has that. You know, Brock, I don't know what you're going to do with him, but I don't know if his match will even be enough. So you need some sort of big match, big draw, big event to take place on that show. And I think WrestleMania could be a likely candidate if WWE needs, like, maybe they feel like they can get away with not doing it. You know, CM Punk has always said he wants that WrestleMania match, that WrestleMania main event. Maybe that's part of his terms. If you want me to come back, you got to give me the main fucking event. And you got to give me a lot of money too. You got to give me Saudi Arabia money. Shout out to Wiza, who said this to me. You got to give him Saudi money with a WrestleMania main event. And who knows, maybe WWE's willing to do that. Maybe they know that it would be worth the money to do that. Who knows? Who would his opponent be? Who would you work him with? Who would you put him in the ring with? I know I'm looking way ahead here. Those of you who are so 100% positive that he's never wrestling again, guess what? You actually might be right. But if you're not right, and he does eventually get in the ring one day, whether that's, it might be a year from now. He might do this for a year before there's ever any serious talk of him getting in the ring. So we could be looking way ahead. But when and if that day ever comes, who would you work him with? There's a juicy feud, an angle and storyline sitting right there with Triple H. Hell, you can even get McMahon involved before he gets too old to do something. Imagine if CM Punk slapped around Vince in the ring or something. Or you can just knock out a whole bunch of dream matches. Put him in the ring with Bryan on some big pay-per-view. Maybe have a match with guys he has a ton of history with, like Samoa Joe. You could put him in the ring with Kevin Owens. You could do all sorts of stuff that would be fun for CM Punk. So you can just let the speculation go crazy in the comments there. I'd love to hear how you guys would book him. And I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. I'm not trying to get excited and get my hopes up, because I truly would like to see him in the ring one day. But, if I'm betting, if you're forcing me to bet on this situation, I'm pretty confident. I'm laying my money down that he'll be in the ring versus not be in the ring. And it just depends on how long that takes. He might jerk us around for another year. He might jerk us around for another 2 years. He might show up in the ring and have a match at Survivor Series in 2 weeks. The beauty of this situation is you just don't know, and it should be really fun to see how all of this plays out. We've got to wait a whole nother week now just to see him back on WWE Backstage again, but I'm curious to see what his demeanor will be like, what he'll talk about, what they'll discuss, and that definitely will help the ratings, because that 50,000 viewer mark was pretty damn frightening, and his presence will definitely change that. I mean, you're probably talking about an increase of 4 to 5 times that with CM Punk being on that show, I would assume, especially with all the wrestling fans tuning in just to see what he says and what he's going to talk about. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents on this breaking story that broke late on Tuesday night. This should be hitting my YouTube channel early on Wednesday morning. I will be up here this weekend, big weekend of videos. I've got a brand new Winged Eagle podcast streaming live this Saturday, as always, at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. on the East Coast. And the very next day, this Sunday on November 17th, I'm going to do a special live stream reviewing the first 2 Survivor Series pay-per-views in 1987 and 1988. I thought that would be a nice, fun Sunday night type of live stream to do where we can hang out and talk about some retro stuff. And I have a ton of memories of both of those shows. And I thought it would be fun to kind of share those with you back when GoodMicWork was just a little piece of shit. Anyway, you guys have a great rest of your night. Leave me all of your crazy ass comments about the CM Punk situation in the comments below. Cannot wait to read that shit. And I'll talk to y'all real soon. Be good. Peace.